everyone. Welcome once again to Fitz in Law School. I'm Fitz, and I'm hoping to be your guide through law school. I'm also hoping this week to be kind of a short video because I have finals to study for, and I have a memo to do, and all my professors are still adding more materials and stuff, even though we're in the last 2 weeks of school. But hey, that's law school, so what are you gonna do? And this information is really interesting. So last week we talked about the prep for law school, the time in between your work or your school or whatever and law school. So this week we're going to talk about orientation, and then we're going to talk about the first week in law school. Okay, so I'm hoping to really bang these things out. So number one, we're talking about orientation. Okay, so the past couple days I've talked to a couple of my friends at 3 different schools, and I said, hey, what's your orientation like? This is everything from some of the top tier schools to some of the mid tier schools. So it seems like basically all law schools do it roughly the same. So what happens is usually you start off with maybe like 1 or 2 reading assignments prior to the orientation, and then you get emailed the schedule. Usually it's over 1, 2, or 3 days, and it's all kind of the same basic stuff. Law school is way, way different than your undergrad. And so they're not going to tell you, here's what life is like in law school. What they're going to, what they're going to do is they're more going to tell you, basically exactly what I've been telling you this entire time, that you can't really mess around. This is a big deal. Welcome to the school. The school is fantastic, all that stuff. However, you can't mess around, And so, I have just a couple of tips and tricks for you. Okay. So first thing is you're probably most likely every single person that I talked to had pre-orientation assignments or readings or something like that. And so for me, it was we had to read a book, we had to read a couple of cases, and then we had to read one more case and then actually brief that case. And so essentially what that means is you read through the case and then you identify the legal issue, like the question, what exactly the court, each where are you? The 2 parties come in and they say, I want this, I want that. And then the courts say, okay, here's kind of the underlying legal issue that we're identifying here, and here's our answer on it. So if you hadn't heard about this before, maybe you'll hear about it now for the first time, and it's called IRAC. And so what that is that's an acronym, and that's Issue, Rule, Analysis, and Conclusion. Okay, so the issue is the question that's presented from the case. The rule is essentially what's the standard that the court makes for deciding future cases that have this same issue, and then the analysis. Why exactly did the court come to this conclusion? And then finally the conclusion. So it's pretty simple, pretty standard, and that's essentially what you're going to be using for your finals and all that stuff. When you're answering a question, you say, okay, like here's a fact pattern and all this stuff. So I'm breaking down the fact pattern into 3 issues. And then, this issue, the general, here's the kind of the issue right now. Here's what this particular element of the case is dealing with. And then here's the general rule in the legal field for that case. And then here's the facts of this particular matter. And here's the analysis about how it fits into that rule. So they're going to tell you about all of that stuff and everything. However, those are kind of every single thing in law school builds upon itself. Okay, so that means that from the very get-go, you're going to have pre-orientation assignments, and you want to do those, all right, because those are very important. You're also going to want to really, really jump into that that work ethic. You really want to make sure that you get down exactly what you want to do, and then really go for it. Really put your head down and go for it. Because for the next 3 years, this is what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to focus on those things, and you're going to really need to get them done. And I know you can do it, and you just need to work hard at it, and then you'll do great. The second thing is that at orientation, they have tons and tons and tons of information. Okay, they're going to have printouts. They're going to have presentations. You're going to walk through a class. You're going to meet professors. You're going to meet financial aid people. You're going to get tons of contact information. You're going to find out where offices are. Like my school did a scavenger hunt, and these presentations are all going to be emailed to you most likely. You're going to get handouts with the contents of the materials. And then you're also going to get stuff that you're kind of expected to remember, or write down or whatever. Okay. You need to pay attention. Okay. That's a really, really important thing, because not only is there information that's really, really important within this orientation, but then also there's information that you're going to need when something goes wrong. and something will go wrong. My financial aid was slightly messed up. And they made, a very easy, very minor mistake, and it took about 5 minutes. I walked in there and I said, hey, financial aid person, here's what it is, here's what it should be, and then here's all the extenuating circumstances, and they said, oh, sorry, our mistake, and then they swipped it. And so those things are going to happen. And so it might not, but it might. And so you definitely want to be prepared, and you want to take in all the information that they're going to present to you. But it's a really, really good idea. And then once orientation is done, you're going to have the first week. So you're going to start getting emails from your teachers, depending on the system that they use. Sometimes they use Canvas. Sometimes they use, Web Advisor. It's like they have tons and tons of these kind of like intranet systems that tons and tons of colleges use. For me, like it just so happens maybe in California they have a monopoly or something, but for me, undergrad and grad school have all used Canvas. So, who knows? But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to really pay attention to the communications that you get for week 1, because these are going to be your reading assignments. The first day of class, not only are they going to go and answer any questions and give you kind of the basic rundown of course and stuff, but then that first day, you're going to start talking about the cases. You're going to start talking about what you read. So you want to really take this seriously and get into it, because it's just going to happen. So do the reading. Number 1, first week, just jump in, do the reading. Make sure that you really, really understand what this professor is like. So start taking notes, start doing all this thing. This is the second to last week of my first semester in law school. And today I was taking notes in class and thinking about how I'm going to change my note-taking habits for next semester, because I'm kind of realizing that when it comes to outlining, when it comes to what's important in the case and stuff, it doesn't quite work about how I was doing it. And so again, constantly learning, constantly improving, and this is what happens. And if you start off in your first week really looking at this like not a process set in stone, but as a continuing learning process, you're going to do great. So highly suggest that. You can't learn without experience, so don't be afraid or don't be freaked out if things don't click instantaneously. Okay, so yeah, do the reading. Number 2, you definitely want to ask questions. There's going to be a ton of kids that are going to be in your section, in your class, in your whatever, and they're going to ask about the final. They're going to ask about, how strict on you on readings. They're going to ask about how does, being on call work, all these kinds of things. And they're obviously going to answer all these questions. But you want to make sure that if you're uncertain about anything, there's no such thing as a dumb question, okay? I know that you hear that all the time, but I really do think it's true. The important thing, though, is what does count as a dumb question is something that they've already answered, okay? So make sure to pay attention. But if something's uneasy, or if you're whispering to the person next to you and say, do you know exactly when they said this assignment is due, or do you know this or that, and they say, no, I don't think they did, raise your hand and definitely answer. Let's see. Also, if you have assigned seats, then go and do your assigned seat. If you don't, then I would highly suggest you go and you sit in the front row. I've always really liked the front row. Let's see here. You can't slack off. You can't whisper to people. You're making eye contact with the teacher so that they see you. You can talk to the teacher before the class starts. You can establish a rapport with the teacher. All you're focusing on is the board and the teacher. I don't know. I mean, I think that being in the front row is fantastic, because it doesn't let you, I think that probably the most important thing is that it doesn't let you slack off, because, the teacher's right there. And so if you do, whisper to someone or whatever, they'll see you. And so, it's another guard against being lazy or being whatever, and making you pay attention. And then the other thing is that, it makes the teacher, let you know, or it allows the teacher to see you and know kind of who you are. And I think that's really important. The vast majority of the time, 99.9% of the time, TAs or teachers grade blind. And so it's not going to influence your grade, but what it will do is it will make the teacher more comfortable with you, so that when you're talking to the teacher, they're going to want to help you. They're going to want to inform you. And also, it's a great way to understand the subjects more if you have a good, nice, solid rapport with the teacher. And then this goes into my next point. Go and talk to the teacher, okay? They're going to have office hours. The vast majority of the time, most teachers have office hours at least once a week. And so you're going to want to go in there at the very least the first week, all right? I'm totally honest, this semester I've not been great about going to office hours. However, I do sit in the front row in every single one of my classes, and all my teachers, they all even after the second week, they're saying, "Oh, okay, Fitz, let's let someone else answer while we do this." But I was just so excited, and like I was that kid, I was in the front row. But get to know them. Go and say, "Hi, I'm blankety blank, and I'm here, and I'm taking your class. I'm really, really excited to take your class, and I want you to know who I am, and I really wanted to meet you and all that stuff." It's just it's polite. It's polite. They're people too, and this is a more professional environment than not, and so I think that it's a great idea to really engage with your teachers on that personal level. And then the last thing for week 1 is that get to know your classmates. You're going to be with these people for the next 3 years, okay? Usually you kind of stick with the same group for the first either semester or first year, and then it starts to kind of branch out after that. I think that you should really, really get to know your classmates. I think you should go and talk to them. I think that you should just really start to get to know them because they're going to be a fantastic resource for you. When you're talking about these things after class, if no one wants to talk to you, then that's not very helpful. So I highly suggest you start to establish a rapport with these people. Start to understand who are the ones who do feel comfortable speaking out. If you don't have if you're not really into public speaking and stuff, maybe talk and hang out with a person who is super comfortable with public speaking. And then if you're more thoughtful and stuff, then you guys can share and you can collaborate and stuff. This is a team effort. It really is. Even if you're I don't know, if in any situation when you're in the professional world, you're going to be working with a team, and employers now more and more and more really value that. So many studies, especially, there was an enormous one that was done by Google a while ago that essentially said the teams that usually have more points of view, so more diversity, and ones that, just include the most people, are the ones that usually come up with the best ideas, where everyone gets a chance to speak and everyone gets a chance to collaborate and all these things. That's usually what generates the best ideas. And so you're going to want to start building those skills now. Start seeking out the clubs. Start to, my first week, or my first or second week, I went and I emailed the UC Hastings Tech Journal and said, "Hey, just want to introduce myself. I'm super interested in tech law and stuff. So let me know about your next meeting or put me on your mailing list or whatever." And they said, "All right, sounds good." It's totally worth it. So I highly suggest you do that. So that's orientation, and that's week 1. Wow. We did get that over pretty quickly. Let's see here. Okay, so I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's our introduction to law school. And now you're in law school. Congratulations. Wow. This video series is going fantastically. Let's see here. So next we have, let's see here. So I am about to go through finals. My original plan was to, this video series took longer than I thought, especially just because I've been so busy with stuff. But I'm about to go through finals in 2 weeks. Wow, in 2 weeks. So with finals, it's not really going to be a day-to-day thing. But what I'm really going to try to do is, at the very least, each week. If not, maybe like, I don't know, probably once or twice a week, something like that. And I think I'm also going to do it through December and through all these things, is I'm going to go and talk about some legal concept. I actually have a couple sitting on YouTube right now that are unlisted, or that are private. Don't try and go and find them, but that are private. And then I'm going to go and release a couple of those as time goes on, because I find some of these things really, really fascinating, especially torts. And I think I will kind of pick up with you next semester. And next semester, I'm going to go week by week, and I'm going to talk about here's what we learned, here's the classes that I'm taking, all that stuff. So yeah. Okay, welcome to law school. You're going to do fantastically, and make sure you get out and vote, okay? It's very, very important. Make sure you get out and vote. Right, well, this is Fitz in Law School signing off, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.